The Indiana Fever had a tough battle against the Connecticut Sun today. Now look, the Sun is a solid team. They grind, they're gritty, and they bring it every single game. But when you're up against not just the Sun, but also questionable officiating, things can get messy real quick. So, let's talk about the refs for a second. I'm not one to scream that the game was rigged against Caitlin Clark or the Fever, but let's be real. The officiating tonight was straight up bad. Some of the calls? Absolutely wild. Let's start with the obvious. Caitlin Clark should have drawn a flagrant foul, no question. DeWanna Bonner jumped forward, out of control, and took Caitlin out on the landing. Thankfully, Caitlin didn't get seriously hurt, but come on. How does that not get called? And speaking of the refs, let's talk about the bald ref. He's standing just a few feet away and still doesn't make the call. How do you miss that? That's 3 free points right there. I'm not saying what happens in the second or third quarter always determines the outcome, but this was late enough that it definitely mattered. Oh, and Marina Mabrey? She was already on 3 fouls at that point. If they had called it, it would have been her 4th. Still in the third quarter. Then there's Caitlin Clark getting body checked, riding the hip, and still no call. I've seen refs make that call countless times, but tonight, nothing. Mabrey wasn't even trying to play defense at some points. She was just running around hacking people, especially Caitlin. It wasn't to hurt her, but to make sure she couldn't get her shot off. And yet, the same bald ref standing right there misses it again. Throughout the game, the calls were all over the place. Kelsey Mitchell even got called for a foul when she wasn't anywhere near the ball. They had to challenge calls where the wrong player was called for a foul. It was ridiculous. The foul count was insane. Connecticut had 11 fouls, and Indiana had 20. If you watched the game, you'd think the Fever were the more physical team, but nope. Every time Indiana even looked at a Sun player, it was a foul. It felt like the refs were calling everything against them. Now, I'm not saying this game was rigged, but I am saying the refs were just terrible tonight. Caitlin Clark only shot 2 free throws the entire game, and they weren't even from shooting fouls. If the officiating had been fair, she should have shot at least 9 free throws. In a close game like this, those extra trips to the line matter, especially when you're talking about a 90% free throw shooter. The Sun got some easy calls, while the Fever were getting hacked with no whistle. It's frustrating to watch, especially when you know how much of a difference fair officiating could have made. Normally, I don't talk about the refs in my videos, but tonight, this was one of the worst officiated games I've ever seen. It wasn't rigged, it was just plain bad. Alright, that's it for today. Thanks for watching, and as always, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. See you in the next one.